Bright shineth the sun in his splendor by day, and bright the moon's radiance by night.
The Wayfarers album, the first album was recorded in 1982. But before that, a few years before that, about 5 years before that, the hymn book came out. And meanwhile, I was composing many Buddhist hymns. Brother Hua Chai himself has also composed many Buddhist hymns. And the first recording of the songs that we did, the first one was done on a 60-minute cassette that I recorded in my bedroom. And it turned out to be really popular with a lot of people requesting for it.
So Brother Victor was thinking, since there are a lot of people interested in singing hymns, and if it's not recorded, it's hard to learn because you can't spread it around. Why don't we do a recording?
Those days you have this cassette tape recorder, so big one. So we will find ourselves in one quiet place in the house, and when everything is quiet, we will sing together and record those songs one by one. So it was a very tedious process. So imagine a 1 hour tape. We took months to finish that tape, just to get that 1 hour hymn tape.
And the only place that you have two tape recorders to transfer was in the room of Venerable K. Sri Dhammananda, the chief priest. So he played the role of duplicating these cassettes, and it was very popular. By which time, when I was in Brickfields Temple, I started a youth singers. We call it ourselves BMF youth singers. So I trained a choir to be able to sing in parts. And then so I came up with the second version of the recording, and this time it was done in the temple's, the Brickfields Vihara kitchen. So we had to close the windows and turn off the fan and get the recording. It's really hot and sweaty. So if everybody makes a mistake, you've got to redo the whole thing again. And sometimes you have dogs barking, dogs in the boat you cannot control, because in the back of the kitchen is just beside the main road, so you have a car coming around, roti man coming with a horn.
The roti man will pom, pom, pom. Then we have to cancel the whole thing and re-record. That was not professionally done. But that's how the first Buddhist hymn tape came about.
He made a recording at the Brickfields Temple's kitchen with a cassette player, which serves its purpose but doesn't sound good. So people are saying, hey, Brother Victor, can you make a copy for me? Those days, cassettes you can copy. Can you make a copy for me? Can you make a copy? Can. After sometimes, how many copies can you make?
But that's how the first Buddhist hymn tape came about, which the best marketeer is the late chief. So everywhere he goes to give a talk, he will push those tapes. That's how the hymns become very popular. Then at some point in time, I think 1980s, early 80s, Wayfarers officially is formed. And Wayfarers basically, for the first time, went to official studio, actual studio, to do the recording.
But we have no money. So what we did was we actually started the first crowdfunding. At that time, we don't call it crowdfunding. We call it something like collecting loans. So we went to all our members and says, look, why not you contribute 100 ringgit? And from 100 ringgit, we guarantee you a 10% return.
And actually the recording was very cheap. It was like 3,000 ringgit.
And subsequently, we booked the studios, we paid for the studios, we paid for the production.
So what we did was that in order to not waste recording time, we practiced so well. And when we record, we get everybody ready and we record as if it was a performance. Everybody singing together and playing the musical instruments together. If anybody makes a mistake, we have to do the recording all over again. So because of that, the recording hours is very short, and based on the money that we raised, we were able to come up with the first CD. So that was how it was done.
But that's not the correct way to do recording, because in a studio you got tracks. So actually normally you record track by tracks, things like that. But they all sing together. So it was semi-professionally done for the first album, The Moments of Inspiration and The Sunrise Come. It was only after the second album, at that time I already produced a Chinese hymn, I Chanten, which I did in Singapore professionally. Then that concept of doing professionally is done for the third Wayfarer's tape.
And then when we started to sell the tapes, it was actually a hot seller. So we recovered our capital very fast. And of course, with that capital, we then able to return to every of the people who lend us the money. And they also get back their 10%. So everybody is happy after at the end of the day. Then that's how Wayfarers started on their first production.
Of course, when I established the Wayfarers, some of the singers were actually selected from the BMS youth singers, the better singers. And then I also, having come from Seck Kia Eenh, I know who can sing. I have my sister, Ivy, we used to sing in the house. We sing in parts, and Ivy happened to be studying in Tar College. And so it was perfect. She was in Tar College, so I could ask her to join the Wayfarers. She's got a roommate who also sings, Sister Tan Suki. So Ivy and Suki came in, and I wanted some male singers, and I know there were two very talented musicians from Seck Kia Eenh, Brother O Kim Ling and Brother Raymond Yo. And both of them happened to be in KL as well. So with them, we were able to form the Wayfarers and get our recording done.
I was together with him on the guitar. He goes on the 6 strings, I go on the 12 strings. So yeah, very much with Kim Ling. If you hear the song Suffering World, that was a duet between me and Kim Ling. Playing and singing together with Kim Ling. That was one of our favorite numbers. And I did a few duets with Datuk Sri Victor Wee. And yeah, till today, but we thought time is running out. MOD is now, there has to be a succession plan. Now MOD is coming in with the songs of the new age, in Buddhism, which is good.
Kim Ling at that time was from the Teachers College, Specialist Teachers Training College, and because the recording was done at night, he had to smuggle himself out of the college, and after it is done, he has to get back, and sometimes even climbing over the fence in order to get back into the college. But I think it was a really wonderful experience. So the first album, which is the Moments of Inspiration, was in 1982. And in 1983, just before I leave for my master's studies, I went over to Brown University in the United States. And so we had to get the recording done before I leave for the university. And I remember just on the day itself that I was supposed to fly off, so we started the recording on the eve before flying off. And we started recording, and it spilled over past midnight up to about something like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And I had to finish the last track because that night I'm supposed to fly off. So that song was called Fare Ye Well. It's a song of Prince and daughter coming to the room, seeing Yashodhara sleeping with the baby, and saying farewell. I will come back again to bring you the Dhamma. And I was actually singing that song just before leaving the country. Yes, and that was the last song that was recorded, and after that we had to pack off, and I went home, and that evening I was so exhausted. All my things were scattered on the floor with my suitcase, and I was just completely knocked off. And my mother happened to be in KL, so by the time I woke up, everything was nicely packed in the bags, enough for me to get to the airport to fly off. So that was the second album.